Welcome to the shit show that is every single day.
Not releasing the Epstein files. Fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't care what you do. Start a fucking war. Just don't let them get out. If I go down, I will bring all of you down.
Sounds a little rough. Are you feeling all right?
I feel great. I was shouting at people because they were stupid about something.
You look marvelous. I'm a president, you're a president. Wouldn't you like to be a president too? Enough about me. Let's talk about you. What do you think of me? Hi there, I'm Trista, your interim presidente, sheriff, and House Speaker in the absence of leadership in Merca. And just to give you a diaper chump update that the pretender to the non-existent American throne has already carried out numerous war crimes just in this unlawful attack on Iran to cover up for his being a million times in the e-files, as Jamie Raskin pointed out. Hey, Representative Raskin, why aren't you doing your damn job and spearheading the impeachment efforts? Duh! Thank you for your attention to this matter. But yeah, anyway, Diaper Donald is behind the attack on an Iranian elementary girls' school, killing over 150 children, babies. And you know why he loves to do that. He just loves to see children suffering, as you can tell from the fact he's a serial child rapist, you stupid fuckers in Congress. And also, Swiss authorities have pointed out that the strikes against the oil facilities in Tehran, which created the black skies, that was also a war crime. Israeli and U.S. aggressors are targeting civilians and infrastructure that clearly make this a war crime. So let's lock them both up. Send them both to The Hague if Satan Yahoo's still alive. Because apparently he hasn't been seen for 4 days or so after Iran targeted his secret bunker in Israel. Follow for more updates. I'm an independent, award-winning investigative journalist too, as well as a teacher. You're welcome, Merca. Keep the faith and give him hell. Call Congress. Flood the zone in Congress. 202-224-3121. Memorize that number. Tell the stupid Democrats to do their damn job. Article 2, Section 4. Invoked 14th Amendment, Section 3 as well. Get rid of them all. Send them to the fucking Hague. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Hi there, Tucson. I am Tucson Trista, and I need your help to get on the ballot. I'm running for District 7. Pima County Board of Supervisors. You know, the position that Adelita Grijalva stepped down and Andres Cano took over. That is our district. I need your help to get on the ballot. I need minimum 1,200 valid signatures by March 23rd is the deadline to turn them in. So March 22nd, please tag your Tucson friends below. I'm the artist and writer and musician that I'm the public advocate and 2028 independent presidential candidate, that is if we have elections, who is demanding that Pima County clean up its own government. I'm demanding the removal of Sheriff Nanos, Laura Conover as the district attorney, and the head of PAC, Pima Animal Care Center, so-called Care Center, Monica Dangler, for having participated in what's called a civil conspiracy to deprive me, a Pima County resident, innocent, and also a perfectly pristine, clean background as a Berkeley, Oxford, and Taipei Medical University educated public advocate. I'm calling for their removal for having been part of a 60-man raid on my property and the cruel, unnecessary seizure of my beautiful babies, my prize-winning flock. So if you're an animal lover, you've got to please sign my petition to just get on the ballot. You want to complain about not having a good candidate, and good political leaders in office, then get me on the ballot. And I need volunteers. Pass it around. Students and the indigenous community, our Latino fam, and women, y'all need to get me on the ballot. District 7, Pima County Board of Supervisors. By March 22nd, when I'll have to get all the signatures together, 1,200 signatures. Come on, man. Tired of running for a write-in candidate. Have a blessed day, Tucson. Get me on that ballot, and let's have a good show instead of this shit show. And by the way, I'm also calling to shut down Pima County Jail and the other psych facility on Wilmot for excessive deaths. And I promise to bring in the ACLU Arizona. Please endorse my campaign. Send my campaign some money. I will, unlike Diaper Donald, declare it. I would be proud to have ACLU support. I want the League of Women Voters support. I want the Pascuayaki Nation support. I want the Tona Otham support. I want our Latino fam se puede, si se puede. And I guarantee, I promise I will protect you like no other person in political office has done so. And by the way, Andres Cano, who's running for this position, what has he done? He resigned as state representative to go to Harvard. We don't need another do-nothing Democrat. Hey there, Merca. It's me, Trista, your interim presidente, interim sheriff here in Tucson, Arizona, and also your interim House Speaker in the absence of leadership in this country. Anyway, I've got a special treat for you today. I actually wrote this a long time ago. It is a petition for impeachment of Trump. 200 articles of impeachment. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to update it a bit. So I just added the last, it was 188. So I added another, easily another 20, because he commits new atrocities and impeachable offenses every damn day, as is his one, since he's a crimeaholic and psychopath. So anyway, here we go. Subject: petition for the impeachment of, it's not president, of Trump, with 188 articles of impeachment, which approximately 200 insurrectionist Republicans must recuse themselves. Plus, invocation of Rule 9, immediate call for a roll call vote. Get all these cocksuckers on the record. To the honorable members of the United States Congress. And I'm going to put this on, like, change.org. And if we get 1 million signatures, then they have to act on it anyway. So, but in the meantime, to the honorable members of the United States Congress. It's not really so honorable, actually. In fact, they should all be charged with dereliction of duty. We, the undersigned citizens of the United States, hereby petition the Congress to initiate impeachment proceedings against Trump. We present the growing list of up to 1,000 impeachable offenses, which we believe constitute high crimes and misdemeanors, warranting his immediate removal from fucking office. In fact, he should have been removed. He should never have gotten there in the first place. Stupid assholes. Certified the fake election results of an adjudicated insurrectionist. Duh. All of y'all need to lose your law licenses anyway. Ask yourselves, what crime has he not committed? Here are 200 some odd reasons you should do your damn job and impeach him and his entire illegitimate criminal regime. It's so grave, so c'est grave, as they say in French, that it's hard to even speak about. So here we go. Abuse of power, pressuring and extorting the leader of Ukraine to hold a fake press conference and announce the investigation of a political rival. Obstruction of justice, refusing to cooperate with congressional investigations. 3, incitement of insurrection, encouraging his armed supporters to storm the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. 4, obstruction of justice, interfering with the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. 5, violation of the Emoluments Clause, profiting from foreign governments through his businesses while in office. 6, undermining the electoral process, attempting to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. 7, misuse of presidential pardons, granting clemency to political allies, and for $3 million too. That's even a separate one. Pay-to-play pardons, $3 million. 8, violation of campaign finance laws, involvement in hush money payments during the 2016 campaign. 9. Undermining freedom of the press, labeling the media as enemy of the people. 10. Retaliation against whistleblowers, targeting individuals who reported misconduct. And retaliation after that. Remember when he got Vindman demoted? And there are many whistleblowers he's retaliated against, so that should be probably dozens. 11. Nepotism, appointing family members to senior White House positions like Jared Kushner. He couldn't even get a security clearance because he's a fucking spy. And he's doing, like, carrying out their stupid ass, the outrageous Gaza Strip high luxury hotel bullshit. 12. Politicizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the Justice Department, using the DOJ to target political opponents. And by the way, 5,000 DOJ lawyers have resigned in protest, and they should be our transitional DOJ. 13. Undermining intelligence agencies, disparaging U.S. intelligence findings on foreign interference. 14. Sharing classified information, disclosing sensitive intelligence to foreign officials. Remember on his desk, he was sharing it, and he's on tape too. It's recorded. 15. Encouraging voter intimidation, urging supporters to monitor his supporters to monitor polling stations. 16. Interfering in the postal service, implementing changes that delayed mail-in ballots, and also 300,000 missing ballots that DeJoy helped him disappear in the 2020 elections. 17. Profiting from official events, hosting government events at Trump-owned properties. 18. Undermining environmental protections, rolling back regulations without scientific basis. 19. Politicizing military decisions, using armed forces for political gain. 20. Violating human rights and putting them in harm's way, by the way. 20. Violating human rights. No other president has started eight wars in 1 year. Violating human rights. Implementing policies leading to family separations at the border. The so-called kids in cages policy. It should be a separate, and he never reunited the kids. The judge ordered, so that's contempt of court, and he never turned around those plane loads of Venezuelan immigrants that he was sending back. And in fact, it was never investigated, all those people who washed up on shore in shackles, because apparently, according to TikTok sleuths, God bless the whistleblowers, they were dumping them in the middle of the ocean and turning back. Violating human rights, implementing policies leading to family separations at the border. 21. Undermining public health guidelines, contradicting the experts during the COVID-19 pandemic. That's an understatement. Refusing to, another one is refusing to send life-saving equipment to national responders, first responders. 22. Promoting unproven medical treatments, advocating remedies without scientific backing. Well, if you shine a light inside the body, what would happen? 23. Interfering in electoral processes, pressuring state officials to alter vote counts. Remember the Brad Raffensperger? It's a recorded phone call. What the fuck is wrong with you people? 24. Spreading misinformation, disseminating false information on critical issues. Remember when he used a Sharpie to change the trajectory of a tornado in North Carolina? 25. That's a crime, by the way. 25. Undermining the free press, threatening press freedom through hostile rhetoric. He also sued the malicious prosecution against ABC and George Stephanopoulos. Remember that he had to pay, the ABC capitulated and paid his presidential library, which is what, made of tweets. $15 million. 26. Encouraging foreign interference, inviting foreign nations to meddle in U.S. elections. Russia, if you're listening. Remember that? That's fucking treason right there. 27. Misusing federal funds, redirecting money appropriated by Congress for unauthorized projects. Remember that Build the Wall? He stole that from the defense, from the Department of Defense, and by the way, he changed the name unlawfully to the Department of War. Another fucking impeachable crime. Violating Internet 28, violating international agreements, withdrawing from treaties without consulting allies or Congress. 29, politicizing intelligence, altering intelligence assessments to fit political narratives. 30, disparaging war heroes, making derogatory remarks about military service members. 31, encouraging police brutality, advocating for law enforcement to use excessive force. Remember, it's like, beat them up. I'll pay your lawyer. I'll hire lawyers for you, he said at his rallies. Remember that? It's inciting domestic terrorism. It's a fucking terrorist in the White House. 32, undermining election integrity. We're only on 32. And I'll have to come back for a part 2. Undermining election integrity, claiming widespread voter fraud without any evidence. Remember, there's like 87 cases. Absolutely no evidence of fraud. But he just did it to grab the headlines. It's a fascist tactic. 33, mismanagement of disaster relief, providing inadequate responses to natural disasters, depriving blue states of aid, life-saving equipment. 34, welcome back to 1 million impeachable offenses petition. Putting together, doing job for Congress for ya. Send me the check, bitches. I am Trista, your interim presidente, sheriff, and house speaker in the absence of leadership in this country. And we're on 34, politicizing the census, attempting to add questions that could deter participation. 35, undermining scientific research, suppressing findings that contradict his administration's agenda. Also, he just defunded science. 36, threatening to withdraw from NATO, undermining international alliances critical to national security because he's a fucking spy for Russia. 37, supporting authoritarian regimes, expressing admiration for dictators. And by the way, what happened to that love letter? Aren't you supposed to turn that over, cocksucker? Boot-licking cocksucker. 38, attempting to fire special counsel, trying to dismiss investigators probing his administration. Actually did. 39, this needs to be updated, and I'm sure we can get 1 million. You know, Senator Mark Kelly, why don't you hire me to all put together 1 million impeachable offenses if you do your damn job and introduce them. I'll do it for free, I'll volunteer. 39, undermining the judiciary, attacking judges and court decisions. It should be a separate offense, impeachable offense, every time he threatened a judge or the judge's family or the judge or the court officers. 40, misuse of national emergency declarations, declaring emergencies without sufficient basis, like declaring a war with Ecuador when there was no war with Ecuador. 41, withholding congressionally approved funds, refusing to release funds for programs he opposes. What's that called? It's called like the catchment clause, or it sounds like herding. Anyway, there's a technical word for that. 42, encouraging violence at rallies, inciting supporters and police to act aggressively towards protesters and members of the media. That's why media started stopping to cover, and that's exactly what he wanted. He didn't want them to cover, so he had his goons attack the media, members of the media. And he told the police officers during BLM too, told them to attack the reporters, and there were the ACLU was covering that. Over 200 incidents where police attacked reporters covering BLM because they didn't want them to show that they were peaceful protests. 43, undermining the U.S. Postal Service, implementing operational changes leading to mail delays and suppression of the vote, basically, and disappearing of 300,000 mail-in ballots. 44, violation of the Hatch Act. There should be a separate charge for each of them, and there's probably hundreds, the way he acts with impunity. Allowing officials to engage in political activities while on duty. 45, interference with the Department of Justice, pressuring DOJ officials to pursue investigations into political opponents. Remember that he tried to get them to charge Tish James to get her off his ass about the $500 million and the repo of his properties which the media should be covering that. I volunteer to cover that. Hire me, I'll cover it. Shut the shit down. Refusal to condemn white supremacist groups. That's an understatement, actually. He was openly, well, you know, it's come out, Jack Smith brought that out, that he was funding, the Trump campaign was funding their travel expenses and hotels and stuff, failing to denounce white supremacist organizations. Remember, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by? That's fucking treason right there. Fuck you, idiots in Congress. 47, campaign finance violations, directing payments to silence individuals during the 2016 campaign. 48, profiting from official events, hosting official government events at Trump-owned properties. There are countless charges of that. 49, undermining the Affordable Care Act, attempting to dismantle health care protections without a viable alternative. He's been saying since the 80s, roll out a alternative health care plan in 2 weeks. 50, politicizing the National Security Council, appointing unqualified individuals to key security positions. 51, mismanagement of the COVID-19 vaccine rollout, delaying distribution plans leading to unnecessary deaths. 1 million dead Americans because of that cocksucker. 52, mass murder. That should be, you know, it should be that's a million counts right there, impeachable offenses. 52, undermining the Federal Reserve, interfering with monetary policy for political gain. They actually arrested the Federal Reserve chairman because he wouldn't raise interest rates. This is just a couple weeks ago. There's another one for you, stupid assholes in Congress. 53, violating the Presidential Records Act, destroying or mishandling official documents. Remember when Mark Meadows, he was burning, his wife was complaining because he came home after burning so many documents in his fireplace in his office. He came home smelling like fire. Remember that? 54, engaging in insider trading. There'd probably be like countless charges of that as well. Using privileged information to benefit personal finances. 55, manipulating unemployment data, misrepresenting statistics to project a false economic narrative. By the way, 50,000 jobs lost last month. 56, interfering with the census, attempting to influence population counts for political advantage. 57, misusing emergency powers, declaring national emergencies without justification. 58, abandoning Kurdish allies, sudden withdrawal of troops from Syria, endangering allies just to fuck up Biden. Grandpa Brandon, remember him? 59, encouraging violence against, he never turned over the keys to the White House, by the way. That's scandalous. 58, abandoning, Kurdish allies. 59, encouraging violence against protesters, advocating aggressive actions towards demonstrators. Beat them up, I'll pay for your lawyers. 60, mismanagement of Puerto Rico hurricane relief. Remember the paper towels, toss them some paper towels. They were without electricity for months and didn't give them any aid for like a year or so. Delayed and inadequate response to Hurricane Maria. 61, disparaging NATO allies, undermining international alliances through hostile rhetoric. Trying to invade Mexico, threatening to invade Greenland, threatening to invade Canada and make it the 51st state. You can add those. And as well as kidnapping Maduro, the leader of Venezuela, and the 200 girls. That's 200 impeachable offenses right there. The 200 Iranian schoolgirls who died because he wanted to bomb their school last Saturday. 62, supporting conspiracy theories, promoting unfounded claims that incite public distrust. 63, interfering with military. Yeah, I'm sure he's behind. He is Q, by the way, in QAnon. 63, interfering with military justice, overturning military court decisions for political reasons. Just like contempt of law. He refused to turn around 3 plane loads of Venezuelan asylum seekers. Just ignored the judge's order to turn them around because they've been deprived of due process. 64, violating the Logan Act, unauthorized negotiations with foreign governments as a private citizen, with Russia, of course. 65, undermining the World Health. It just came out recently. He's had dozens of secret phone calls with Poontang. Undermining the World. 65, undermining the World Health Organization, withdrawing support during a global pandemic. 66, politicizing the National Guard, deploying troops for political show rather than necessity. The stupid ass military parade on his birthday. 67, misusing the presidential seal, using official symbols for personal business interest. 68, engaging in tax fraud, allegations of inflated assets for loans. Not allegations, he was convicted of that. Remember that? This is a little bit outdated and needs to be updated. And deflating them for taxes. That's why he can't do business in New York anymore, because he's such a fucking business fraudster. 34 counts. Cooking the books. He's been doing it. He learned it from his daddy-o. There's a slumlord. 69, violating the Hatch Act, allowing staff to engage in political activities while on duty. Mark Meadows. He ordered it, actually. 70, mismanagement of the Veteran Affairs Department. He shut it down. Failing to provide adequate care for veterans. He cut out all the emergency services. Go Vets. Hi there, welcome back. This is Trista, your interim presidente, House Speaker, and Sheriff here in Tucson, Arizona. And this is part 3 of my petition for Congress to do their damn job and impeach Diaper Donald with 1,000 letters, articles of impeachment. We're on 70, and actually I'm going to do about 200. And then, Senator Mark Kelly and Ruben Gallego, hire me and I'll do 1,000. I'll put together 1,000 articles of impeachment. I'll do your job. You can send me the check. Anyway, so 70, mismanagement of the Veterans Affairs Department, failing to provide adequate care for veterans. 71, undermining the U.S. Postal Service, implementing changes that delayed and disappeared mail-in ballots. 72, encouraging police misconduct and brutality, advocating for rough treatment of critics, protesters, and media. 73, misusing national security letters, obtaining information without proper judicial oversight. 74, engaging in cyberbullying, using social media to harass individuals. 75, undermining the peaceful transfer of power, refusing to concede after losing the election. 76, violating the Take Care Clause, failing to ensure laws are faithfully executed. 77, engaging in witness tampering, intimidating individuals involved in investigations. By the way, there should be a multitude of charges just for that. Which would quickly, and on top of the million impeachable offenses for each of the people who died under COVID because of that fucker. 78, misusing the pardon power, granting pardons to individuals who could implicate him or co-conspired with him. 79, engaging in racketeering, operating businesses involved in fraudulent activities. 80, violating the Posse Comitatus Act, using military forces for domestic law enforcement. 81, engaging in money laundering, involvement in schemes to conceal illicit funds. 82, undermining the intelligence community, discrediting agencies for unfavorable reports. 83, engaging in human rights abuses, supporting policies that lead to human rights violations. 84, violating campaign finance laws, coordinating with outside groups improperly. 85, such as the Proud Boys, etc. And Russia. 85, engaging in electioneering, using government resources for campaign purposes. 86, misusing disaster relief funds, diverting funds for unrelated projects. 87, engaging in pay-to-play schemes, offering access in exchange for contributions. There's countless violations of that. 88, violating the Freedom of Information Act, withholding information without justification. 89, engaging in insider trading, using non-public information for financial gain. 90, undermining the federal judiciary, disparaging and inciting violence against judges who rule against him. By the way, this is before he started his, he was unlawfully allowed to hold office after being an adjudicated insurrectionist. 91, engaging in an environmental destruction, rolling back protections leading to harm. 92, violating the Arms Export Control Act, transferring weapons without proper authorization. 93, engaging in unethical business practices, operating companies and organizations like Chump University that defraud consumers. 94, violating the War Powers Resolution, engaging in hostilities without congressional approval. 95, engaging in discriminatory housing practices, refusing to rent to individuals based on race. 96, violating the Voting Rights Act, implementing policies that suppress voter turnout. 97, insurrection, engaging in acts that undermine the Constitution and inciting insurrection against the United States government. 98, domestic terrorism, encouraging and supporting domestic terrorist groups leading to violence and threats against other citizens and immigrants. 99, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. 99, abuse of public trust, repeatedly violating the trust placed in the office of the president through unethical actions. 100, chronic dishonesty, making over 50,000 false or misleading statements during his presidency, eroding public confidence. 101, Russian interference in elections, benefiting from and failing to adequately address Russian interference in the 2016, 2020, and 2024 elections. 102, ties to Russian officials, maintaining undisclosed relationships with Russian officials compromising national security. 103, espionage, alleged recruitment by KGB in 1987. Accusations by former KGB officials that Trump was cultivated as a Russian asset starting in 1987. 104, money laundering with Russian entities, engaging in financial transactions with Russian mobsters, raising concerns about money laundering. 105, obstruction of justice, 10 counts in the Mueller report, committing at least 10 acts of obstruction of justice as detailed in the Mueller report. 106, extortion of foreign leaders, pressuring foreign leaders such as Ukraine's President Zelensky for personal gain. 107, public humiliation of allies, inviting Russian state media to broadcast interactions intended to demean allied leaders, allowing only Russian state media to cover from the Oval Office, showing his true allegiance, fucking traitor of epic proportions. 108, trade wars with allies, initiating unnecessary trade wars that harmed relationships with allies like Canada, Mexico, Greenland, and Panama and damaged the U.S. economy, engaging in insider trading and market manipulation to benefit his friends like Charles Schwab, $2.5 billion. 109, mishandling of COVID-19 pandemic, providing reckless and dangerous guidance during the pandemic, including suggesting the injection of disinfectants and shining light inside the body. 110, espionage and mishandling classified documents, flushing him down the toilet in the White House. It clogged up the toilets all the time. And Mark Meadows' fireplace. Improperly handling classified information and obstructing efforts to retrieve them, lying to federal agents. 111, leaking classified information, disclosing sensitive information about Iran and nuclear weapons to unauthorized individuals and lying about it. 112, 112, campaign finance violations, engaging in illegal campaign finance activities, compromising the integrity of elections, accepting $300 million from federal contractor Musk. 113, tax evasion and financial improprieties, refusing to release tax returns and engaging in tax evasion schemes. 114, violation of the Emoluments Clause, profiting from the presidency through business dealings with foreign governments. 115, obstruction of peaceful transition of power, refusing to concede defeat and obstructing the transition to the subsequent administration. 116, frivolous lawsuits claiming election fraud, filing over 87 baseless lawsuits without evidence of election fraud simply to grandstand and with the goal to undermine public trust in the electoral process. 117, adjudicated insurrectionists, being legally recognized as having engaged in insurrection, violating the 14th Amendment. 118, providing aid to adversaries, supplying critical equipment to adversarial nations during domestic shortages. Russia for Putin's personal use, expensive COVID equipment. It's in Bob Woodward's book. Such as COVID equipment for Putin's personal use during shortage at home, as revealed in Bob Woodward's book, Feared. 119, attempt to end birthright citizenship, proposing a litany of unconstitutional measures, such as revoking birthright citizenship. 120, use of military against civilians, deploying military forces against peaceful protesters, violating the Posse Comitatus Act. 121, creation of unauthorized government agencies, establishing agencies like dodgy without congressional approval, leading to massive privacy violations and data breaches of all Americans. 122, annexation attempts of foreign territories, proposing the annexation of Greenland and parts of Canada without basis and despite their repeated assurances they didn't want to be invaded. 123, mentally unfit for office, exhibiting behaviors consistent with malignant narcissism and psychopathy, as assessed by mental health professionals such as Dr. Bandy Lee of Yale University, dangerouscase.org. 124, incitement of violence against Vice President, House Speaker, and attempt to assassinate him. Encouraging violence against his own vice president during the January 6th insurrection. 125, stochastic terrorism, making statements that led to bomb threats and school closures in Springfield, Ohio, after he falsely claimed they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, particularly against Haitian immigrants. 126, cruel and unusual punishment of immigrants, implementing inhumane policies such as family separations, bringing back kids in cages and detentions in barbaric conditions like Alligator Alcatraz. 127, incitement of violence against journalists, encouraging supporters to attack journalists, undermining the free press. 128, 7-hour silence during the Capitol attack, failing to respond promptly during the January 6th attack, endangering lives. He was gleefully watching. Okay, we're on part 4. I'm trying to get to all 204 parts. Okay, we're on 128. 7-hour silence during Capitol attack, failing to respond promptly during the January 6th attack, endangering lives. He was looking gleefully at the TV. 129, allowing armed individuals at rallies, permitting individuals with weapons to attend rallies, increasing the risk of violence. He wanted to get rid of the mag, the gun detector, metal detectors. So that his goons could attack the Capitol. 130, it's contempt for judicial orders, ignoring court orders and displaying contempt in general for the judicial system. 131, threats against journalists as the enemy of the people, making threats against journalists, undermining the First Amendment. 132, admiration for authoritarian literature, reportedly keeping and reading authoritarian Mein Kampf is in a little locked cabinet in his bedside table, raising concerns about his ideological leanings and mental illness. 133, encouragement of extremist groups and support and funding of, telling groups like the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by, emboldening them and coordinating with them through his campaign. 134, refusal to act during national crises, failing to address critical situations promptly, endangering public safety, and intentionally making it worse, like telling people that FEMA was not going to help people in red states. 135, attempted overturning of election results, pressuring officials to overturn a legitimate election, recorded a conversation threatening Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger with litigation if he didn't just find us 11,780 votes, one more than we have. 136, misuse of presidential pardons, pay-to-play scheme of selling presidential pardons for $3 million. Abuse of power, profiting from the office of the president, issuing pardons to political allies and individuals convicted of serious crimes, undermining the justice system, including Nicaragua. The leader of Nicaragua was a huge coke dealer, coke trafficker. 136, interference in Department of Justice operations, pressuring the DOJ to investigate political opponents and protect allies, compromising its independence. He wanted the DOJ to investigate Tish James and Comey and the head of the Federal Reserve because they didn't do what he wanted them to do. 137, constant violations of the Hatch Act, allowing senior officials to engage in political activities while on duty, breaching federal law. In fact, he instructed Mark Meadows to do so. 138, undermining the U.S. Postal Service, implementing changes that delayed mail-in ballots during an election period. In one case, disappearing over 300,000 in the 2020 election from 14 swing states, affecting electoral integrity. 139, refusals to condemn white supremacist groups like the Fine People on both sides in North Carolina, failing to denounce hate groups, thereby emboldening them. 140, violation of campaign finance laws, directing payments to silence individuals, hush payments to a porn star. During the 2016 campaign, constituting illegal contributions, cooking the books, and election interference, defrauding voters out of free and fair elections. 141, profiting from official events, hosting official events, and inducing foreign visitors to stay at Trump-owned properties at inflated rates, resulting in personal financial gain, as well as the Secret Service. 142, nepotism, appointing unqualified and uncompromised family members like Jared Kushner to senior White House positions without proper qualifications or security clearance, and with a history of corrupt and foreign dealings. And his daughter, Jared Kushner, Javanka, they're called together. They got $200 million from being in the White House. For what, you know? 143, undermining intelligence agencies, publicly disparaging U.S. intelligence findings favoring adversarial Russia foreign leader statements. 144, sharing classified information with adversaries, disclosing sensitive intelligence to foreign officials without proper clearance. 145, encouraging voter intimidation, urging his goon squad to harass and intimidate people at polling stations, potentially deterring voter participation. 146, attempting to alter weather forecasts, modifying official weather reports arbitrarily with a Sharpie to align with personal claims, misleading the public. 147, threatening to withdraw from NATO, undermining international alliances critical to national security, in a blatant show of allegiance to Russia since 1987. 148, supporting authoritarian regimes, expressing admiration for dictators like Kim Jong-un of North Korea, President Xi of China, and Modi of India, compromising democratic values. 149, undermining environmental protections, rolling back regulations crucial for public health and safety, including our water. 150, politicizing the census, attempting to add questions to deter participation, persecute immigrants, affecting representation. 151, mismanagement of disaster relief, providing inadequate or antagonistic responses to sabotage national disaster response efforts in blue states, neglecting affected citizens, denying life-saving aid. 152, encouraging violence at rallies, inciting his goon squad to act aggressively towards protesters, the media, and critics. 153, undermining the judiciary, attacking judges and court decisions that oppose his views, threatening judicial independence. 154, misuse of national emergency declarations, declaring emergencies at the border or with Venezuela without basis to bypass congressional approval. 155, withholding congressionally approved funds, refusing to release funds for programs he opposes, defying legislative authority. 156, attempting to fire special counsel, trying to dismiss investigators probing his administration, obstructing justice. 157, undermining public health guidelines, contradicting health experts during pandemics, endangering lives. 158, promoting unproven medical treatments, advocating remedies without scientific backing, risking public health. 159, retaliating against whistleblowers, punishing individuals like Vindman, exposing misconduct, discouraging accountability, and ruining their careers. 169, violating international agreements, withdrawing from treaties without consulting allies or Congress. 170, politicizing military decisions, using armed forces for political gain and against the civilian population, which is against posse comitatus, compromising their apolitical stance. 171, interference in electoral processes, pressuring state officials to alter vote counts in his favor. 172, spreading misinformation, habitually disseminating false information to mislead the public on critical issues. He forwarded like 1,000 QAnon posts in a year. 173, undermining the free press, labeling media outlets as enemy of the people, threatening press freedom, and malicious lawsuits against them. 173, undermining the free press. 174, encouraging foreign interference, inviting foreign nations to meddle in U.S. elections for personal benefit. Russia, if you're listening. 175, misusing federal funds, redirecting money appropriated by Congress for unauthorized projects like building the wall. 176, violating human rights, implementing policies that lead to human rights abuses such as family separations, kids in cages, and dumping unlawfully deported individuals in the middle of the ocean, which is an atrocity and should be referred to the International Criminal Court. It's crimes against humanity. 177, undermining scientific research, suppressing scientific findings that contradict his administration's agenda. 178, politicizing intelligence, altering intelligence assessments to fit political narratives. 179 disparaging war heroes, making derogatory remarks about military service members and veterans as suckers and losers, demanding the generals act more like Hitler's generals. 180 encouraging police brutality, advocating for law enforcement to use excessive force. 181 undermining election integrity, claiming widespread voter fraud without evidence, eroding trust in democracy. 182 mismanagement of foreign policy, alienating allies and emboldening adversaries through erratic decisions. 183 violating privacy rights, implementing surveillance programs without proper oversight. 184 engaging in self-dealing, using the office to promote business interests in businesses and interests. 185 undermining civil rights protections, rolling back policies designed to protect marginalized communities. 186 politicizing law enforcement agencies, using federal agencies to target political opponents. 187 encouraging armed protests, supporting demonstrations that threaten public safety and order, allowing his armed protesters to march to Capitol, fully expecting to join them there. 188 undermining public institutions, eroding trust in essential government agencies through baseless attacks. 189 adjudicated rapist, E. Jean Carroll. 190 adjudicated insurrectionist. 10 counts of obstruction of justice. 201 Sharpie, 202 set up death camps on U.S. soil. 203 kidnapped Maduro. 204 bombed and killed Iran girls' school. That's 200 girls right there. 200 charges. 205 ordered kill them all to Venezuela. Hi there, Mecca. I wanted to apologize. I actually drafted this ICC complaint to the Office of the Prosecutor at the International Criminal Courts to refer Diaper Chump and his entire criminal illegitimate regime to the fucking Hague. Get them out of their hair. Anyway, so this needs to be updated to include the war crimes against the Venezuela fishing boat and the war crimes against, he killed 200 elementary girls in an Iran school on last Saturday. If you didn't hear about that, you know, in the Pentagon admitted, yeah, it was us. Anyway, so, yeah, that's a war crime. It's a crime against humanity. And fucking Satan Yahoo, he needs to be rounded up like Dogie as well, and send them both to the fucking Hague, and send all the Gestapo ICE goons to the fucking Hague, and the entire regime. Kristi Noem, fucking Blondie, who, by the way, she's in the files. She was procuring girls, according to the fact that they were released unredacted in Germany. Dankeschön, Deutschland. Anyway, so we need all of you to copy and paste this. I will post it on my Substack 3 and copy and paste and send to the Office of the Prosecutor, International Criminal Courts. I'll get the email for you, and I'll post it in the comments as well, if you're able to. I mean, in the text associated with it. Anyway, I'm going to read it here. So yeah, copy and paste, and I'll give you the email. It's confirmation verb. Anyway, so here's a complaint, and you're going to put your name and your address and contact info in it, and we're going to mass report these cock-sucking, bootlicking, baby fucking, baby murdering, double agents for and Israel, fucking mass murderers. And let's do it sooner rather than later, people, because guess what? They're going boots on the ground for this stupid fucking regime change. It's not even for oil. It's just to cover up the fact that he's listed 1 million times in the 2% of Epstein files that have been released, and the fact that the other 98% have not been released. That's also a crime. That's a high crime, and they should. And so, as your interim presidente, sheriff, and House Speaker, in the absence of leadership in this country, I urge my fellow Americans to call your Congress members and flood the zone and tell them to do their fucking job and impeach him for high crimes and misdemeanors. And you know, the good thing about that is he'll probably shart himself to death. Fucker. Anyway, here we go. So, I respectfully submit this complaint under Article 7 and 15 of the Rome Statute regarding crimes against humanity committed by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, Department of Homeland Security, DHS, Diaper Chump, and associated federal and private contractors. That's probably involving Elon Musk as well, who's also a double agent for, for Russia. Factual allegations. Kidnappings. 1. Kidnappings and forced disappearances. ICE and affiliated agents have been documented snatching individuals from U.S. streets in unmarked vehicles while masked. Refusing to identify themselves, victims were deprived of liberty without due process in violation of international law. Like I said, I'll update it for the Venezuelan fishing boat and the Iranian girls' school. 2. Extraordinary rendition and torture. According to a CBS 60 Minutes investigation, approximately 80% of migrants deported through secret flights to El Salvador and other countries had clean criminal records and valid legal status in the United States. This constitutes extraordinary rendition, unlawful expulsion, and in some cases torture under the Geneva Conventions and the Convention Against Torture. 3. Concentration camps on U.S. soil. ICE and DHS established detention facilities that meet the international definition of concentration camps, where families, children, and lawful immigrants are held under degrading and inhumane conditions. This amounts to persecution and inhumane acts intentionally causing great suffering in violation of Article 7 of the Rome Statute. 4. Violation of Posse Comitatus, the militarization of federal agencies and their use of tactics resembling military operations against civilians constitute an abuse of power and erosion of civilian protections under U.S. and international law. Legal basis, Rome Statute, Article 7, Crimes Against Humanity, Geneva Conventions, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, Convention Against Torture, requested action. Will open a preliminary examination into the actions of ICE and DHS. Identify, charge, and prosecute responsible officials, such as Jonathan Ross, fucker, officials and contractors as war criminals. And Eric Prince, for example, he should be investigated and rounded up like doggies along with the rest of them. Identify, charge, and prosecute responsible officials and contractors as war criminals and perpetrators of crimes against humanity. Convene a Nuremberg 2.0 style trial to hold accountable all these little piggies involved in these unlawful acts. Appoint a UN special rapporteur and human rights observers. I'll volunteer for that, by the way, to monitor U.S. detention facilities and deportation practices. Let's shut them down. Shut them the fuck down. Conclusion. These atrocities are ongoing and represent a clear pattern of systemic abuse targeting vulnerable populations, legal migrants, and even U.S. citizens and veterans, by the way. Veterans, come on, step up. I call upon the ICC to exercise jurisdiction under Article 15 and open an immediate investigation. Respectfully submitted. Your signature here. You're welcome, Merca. Just doing your job for you, Jack Smith. Send me the check, bitch. I'm Trista, your interim Presidente Sharif, and House Speaker in the absence of leadership in Merca. And I approve this massage. Have a blessed day, y'all, and give 'em hell! My fellow Americans, this is not normal. In fact, it's fucking outrageous. And what is unforgivable is not just the avalanche of corruption and iniquity. It is the silence in the face of it. Democratic leadership, hear me clearly. You swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. Not your fundraising lists, not your leadership positions, not your committee assignments. The Constitution. The 14th Amendment, Section 3, is not optional. It is not symbolic. It is not decorative. It is a command. It says that those who engage in insurrection against the Constitution are disqualified from holding office unless Congress votes to remove that disqualification. Did you hold that vote? Did you force the issue? Did you defend the plain text of the Constitution? Or did you choose political convenience? Every single day that impeachment hearings are not initiated despite clear constitutional crises, you are sending a message that oaths are flexible, that accountability is optional, and that fear governs more than principle. And to leadership, yes, I'm looking at you, Hakeem Jeffries, What exactly is the strategy? Is the plan to wait for non-existent midterms, to poll test democracy, to monetize outrage while institutions crumble and Americans are being literally dragged out of their homes? Because the American people are not confused. We are watching with horror the shit show. You cannot hold up little signs during a State of the Swamp address and call that resistance. That is performance. That is submission. That is theater. That is not constitutional defense. Where are the Rule 9 privileged resolutions? Where are the daily impeachment inquiries? Where is the demand for equal application of the law? We are told no one is above the law. Prove it! When members of Congress are attorneys, their oath is doubly binding. You know what high crimes and misdemeanors means. It means abuse of power. It means corruption. It means betrayal of the public trust. If the standard only applies to the powerless, then it is not justice. Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without demands. So here's the demand. Do your damn job! If you believe crimes have occurred, act! If you believe the Constitution is being violated, act! If you believe democracy is in danger, act! History does not remember those who sent fundraising emails while the Republic crumbled and went up in flames. It remembers who stood up. And if you will not stand up, then step aside, step down, resign en masse. We demand an end to congressional insider trading, real term limits, transparent impeachment hearings every day until you clean up government, equal protection under the law, courage, not tweets, not signs, not deep concern, courage. This is a constitutional republic, not a spectator sport. America deserves representatives who understand the oath of office is not ceremonial. It is binding. I'm speaking not as a partisan, but as an American who believes the Constitution still matters. You were elected to defend it, so defend it or resign! Look at all these people that the powers that be want to sacrifice so that an orange traitor and thief and pedophile can distract us from locking him the fuck up and sending him to The Hague. Your people, you're leading your children to be slaughtered, leading them like lambs to the slaughter. That's what this country is doing, which is treasonous in my opinion. Hey man, stop saying that this is what y'all voted for, because actually y'all didn't vote for this. Diaper douchebag lost by a landslide. Stop! Stop saying that he was elected. He stole the fucking election. Stop! Just like he did in 2016 and tried to do in 2020. Stop! Stop calling us baby rapist and double agent for Russia and Israel. Stop calling him the president. He ain't the fucking president. He's disqualified himself when he took part, he incited an insurrection. Y'all would know that if he hadn't overtaken the media, so it's all complicit now too. But we're not fucked. I mean, we're not really fucked. I mean, we could unfuck ourselves quite easily, actually, if we compelled the stupid-ass Congress to do its fucking job and impeach and send them to The Hague. Just give us snap elections. We'll have a whole new government in a month's time. Sounds like a great idea to me. Let's do it. Let's fucking go, as the young people say. Here's a question for Kamala Harris. And I demand a response, Kamala. Why didn't you call for a recount in all these swing states? Even Democratic data analysts were demanding a recount. But you effed off to Hawaii before even 2/3 of the vote were counted. So why, Kamala? I demand a response. I'm going to tag you and I'm going to post this all over social media. We demand a response. What the hell happened to you? Have you been body snatched or what? I'm Trista, your interim presidente, interim sheriff here in Pima County, Tucson, Arizona. And also interim House Speaker in the absence of leadership in this country. Give them help, people. Call Congress. Flood the zone. It's our turn to flood the zone. It's time for the stupid Democrats to do their damn job and impeach and remove the entire regime. Send them to the fucking Hague and give us snap elections and a whole new government in a month's time. I approve of this massage. Have a blessed day, y'all. Dr. Baker, do you want to go to the supermarket? Dr. Baker, do you want to go?
Not doing it. She's not resisting.
Is she going into the car?
Yeah, she's going in the car. She's got handcuffs on. She can't. And look.